Hey, what's going on, everyone? So, I have a question for you. Do you have any friends in your friend group that you think might be kind of toxic, but you're not really sure? I mean, maybe you want to cut them off, but you don't know if that's the right move or not. Well, today I hope to help you make that determination here by going over a bunch of really common friend types that I find to be in like every single friend group, and we're going to be placing them on a toxic scale of sorts. Essentially, how that's going to work is we have 5 tiers here, so we're going to be placing every single one of these friend types into one of these tiers. So starting from the bottom, we have toxic waste. These are the friends you want to cut off. These friends are just toxic and they don't care about you. You shouldn't be friends with them. Then we have venomous but not lethal. So these are the friends that, they kind of break your spirit every now and again, and they definitely have their toxic traits, but you can kind of get by being friends with them. Then you have tiniest hint of poison. These are the friends that kind of wear you down over time. Their toxic traits might not present themselves immediately, but over time you kind of start to feel them. And then you get into the friends you actually kind of want to keep around. So you have FDA approved, and then you have refreshingly clean for like the friends that are just the opposite of toxic. They're there for you, they care about you. And yeah, so with that being said, let's get started. So first we're going to be going over the bully, and every single friend group has the bully. It's just that friend that kind of roasts the crap out of everybody. Nobody is safe. You could get a new haircut, throw on a new outfit, and feel really good about yourself, but this friend will still find the way to just bruise your ego a little bit and chip away at your self-esteem. I feel like most of the time, they're not really trying to insult anybody. It's just kind of all in good fun, they don't really mean anything by it. So I think this friend gets overhated a little bit, and I would say that they probably belong in tiniest hint of poison, because over time it can get a little bit annoying just because it feels like that's all they do. They just roast you, but at the same time they usually don't mean anything by what they're saying, so that's a good placement for them, I would say. So now on to the Nemesis. So this is the friend that just turns everything into a competition with you. They will try to one-up you at every turn, and they just think life's one big competition. These are honestly the most annoying friends ever, if you ask me. You're just trying to enjoy a good time with them, and they'll find a way to just make it into some sort of competitive battle. I don't really know why they do this, and I think they're really toxic because they just don't allow you to really enjoy the friendship. So I would definitely put them in toxic waste. They don't really belong anywhere else, in my opinion. So then that brings us to the Hermit. So this is the friend that is just impossible to get a hold of sometimes. They're always busy whenever you ask them to hang out, and it feels like you have to book a reservation to hang out with them, the way you book a reservation to like get a table at a restaurant, except the only difference is like this is a restaurant that's only open like 2 hours a week, and they only have one table. So it makes it impossible sometimes to just hang out with this friend. But most of the time, these are like people that have a lot of substance to them. They just have a lot of social anxiety, and they're a lot better in small groups or one-on-one settings. And I feel like I can be this friend sometimes, so maybe I'm a bit biased, but this is honestly not a friend that I think we need to hate on, rather than just encourage them to come out of their shell a little bit more. So I think they belong in FDA approved. Alright, so now we have the Drama Junkie, and this is that friend that just loves drama. They will do whatever they can to stir something up within the group, and then they honestly just get a rush from it. It's almost like they're watching some sort of Netflix coming of age show, and they just really enjoy themselves. They really savor the moment whenever there's drama going on in the group, and that tells you all you need to know. Stay away from a friend like this, and don't look back. Definitely toxic waste. Now next we have the lawyer. So have you ever had a friend in one of your friend groups that just turns everything into a debate? This is that friend. It's that friend that talks a mile a minute. They probably like model their speaking after like Ben Shapiro or something. And yeah, they just turn everything into an argument. You can just be minding your own business, and then out of nowhere they'll just text you, oh, so what's your stance on abortion? They'll just find a way to turn anything into some sort of political or otherwise controversial conversation that requires people to take sides. And sometimes it can be pretty entertaining to hang out with this friend because, you can actually have pretty intellectual conversations with a friend like this at times. But also it makes setting up stuff like logistics kind of a nightmare every once in a while because they're very stubborn. So like if they want to go to say one restaurant and you want to go to the other, you're not going to be able to sway them to go to the restaurant you want to go to most of the time. So that can be kind of a headache. I would say that we got to put them in tiniest hint of poison because they make things more complicated than they need to be a lot of the time. Now our next friend is sponsored by Kellogg's because they are the Flake. That is that friend that just will never be able to commit to anything in their lives. I mean, you ask them to hang out, you tell them a place, time, and then they just don't show up, or literally at the last second they're like, oh man, sorry, I really had to do this homework assignment, or my mom called me, so I gotta go talk to her now, I gotta clean the house. I mean, they just find some sort of excuse at the last moment, and then you're just left there and you just feel like you got stood up, like on a date or something. I mean, it's just not a good feeling ever hanging out with this friend. And this might be a little bit harsh for a lot of people, but I think they belong I think they should go straight to toxic waste. Because I want a friend that actually values my time. I want them to show up for me and want to hang out for me and not make up a bunch of random excuses. You should value your own time. So I say they go to toxic waste. Alright, and now we got the Human Encyclopedia. So this is that friend that is just always spewing just random, useless information, and they just think of themselves as like the most distinguished intellectual in the friend group, they think they're so smart. And yeah, they're the type of friend that when you like say something that's maybe slightly incorrect, like factually speaking, will be like, well, actually, like they're that kind of friend. And then they're also the friend, right, when you're at the gym and you're just working out, trying to get gains. Maybe your form is just a little bit off. And then they'll like spend 10 minutes giving you a lecture on the proper technique to do the exercise, even though they're like skinnier than like Stanley S. SquarePants. I mean, they're kind of a walking hypocrite at times. But that being said, kind of like the lawyer, they can have like intellectual conversations with you, and they do have substance sometimes, so I don't want to hate on them all that much. They can just be kind of annoying, so I think they belong in tiniest hint of poison. So for our next friend, we'll be talking about the Solipsist. So this borrows from the philosophy of solipsism, and if you guys haven't heard of it, it's just essentially the idea that only the self exists. So it's like a severe case of main character syndrome. So in terms of friends, this is just the friend that makes everything about themselves. I mean, you could just be hitting the town with all your friends, having a good time, and then this is the friend that will just randomly start venting about their own problems and expect everyone to listen to them and offer genuine solutions, when that's like literally the last thing on your mind. They can really ruin the vibe sometimes, and yeah, they're just selfish, kind of annoying, and they don't really tend to care about you. So I don't think this friend belongs anywhere other than toxic waste. Next, we'll be going over the player. So this one is more geared towards guy friend groups than girlfriend groups, but it's just that friend that is just effortlessly cool and suave, and yeah, the opposite sex can't resist them. They just have this grace and this groundedness to them that just makes them, just appear so smooth. Like you almost admire them and kind of wish you could be like them in some ways. And yeah, I mean, I don't really have anything too negative to say about this friend, other than they're probably going to have a lot of bastard children. But yeah, this is typically a good friend. I feel like they're good at giving advice as well. So I would put them at FDA approved. Next, we're going to be going over the Unsolicited Life Coach. So this is just that friend that cares more about your own life than you care about your own life. I mean, they're always finding ways to give you advice on how to have a better life and just be a better person. I mean, they genuinely do care about you, but it's almost kind of weird how much they care about you, if that makes sense. Like, it's almost like they're trying to live vicariously through you as if you're their kid or something. But, I mean, yeah, they're definitely not a bad friend. I would put them at FDA approved. And now we've got the brand risk. So this is the out-of-pocket friend, basically. It's just that friend that is the first one to say or do something controversial. I mean, They see rules as just polite guidelines that, you don't really have to follow. They're optional. This is the friend that is going to be the first to land you all in trouble. And they can be a lot of fun to hang around, but they are also definitely bad influences. They're the kind of friends that your parents probably told you to stay away from when you were a kid. So I would say that this friend belongs in venomous but not lethal, because they do push you out of your comfort zone in good ways sometimes. But a lot of the times they just end up taking it a little too far. Okay, so now we've got the Walking Hangover. So this is the friend that is on probation, and not just the academic kind, if you catch my drift. This friend has had more 3 a.m. puke sessions than there's pimples at a junior prom, This is the friend that is always going out every single night, just getting blasted. They've probably tried like every illicit substance known to man. And yeah, they are just on Earth for one reason and one reason only, and that's to get the most pleasure whenever they can, It can be a lot of fun to hang out with a friend like this, but I really wouldn't do it too often unless you want to end up in the ER. So I can't really put this friend too high on the tier list here, but I wouldn't say they're completely toxic. So now we'll be talking about the sheltered friend. So this is that friend that just had the strictest upbringing. I mean, their parents didn't allow them to eat fast food, they couldn't come to your house for sleepovers, and they're just too pure for this world. You make a dirty joke 99 out of 100 times, they're probably not going to get it. But it can be fun to play the big sister, big brother role, and you teach them things about life, I guess, and they're never toxic people, I think they're honestly the complete opposite. They're probably incapable of doing anything even slightly immoral, and if anything, we probably need more people like this in the world, so I would put them in refreshingly clean. Alright, so next we'll be talking about the Philosopher, and yeah, this is a friend that gets overhated all the time, in my opinion. I mean, this is a friend that forces you to think critically about things. They tell you the harsh truths, they ask the difficult questions, and they just have a lot of substance to them. This is a friend you want to keep around. You're able to actually have good conversations with them. If anything, they're probably the first friend you go to when you want to have an actually stimulating conversation that isn't just trading dirty jokes or, just making surface level banter. So, if anything, this friend should be refreshingly clean because they actually give a shit about you most of the time, and they force you to think about things. So, I would put them up there. But now, we have a friend that's the complete opposite of that, and that would be the Horndog. So, to quote Pitbull, this is just a squirrel looking for a nut. I mean, it's literally all they ever think about, all they ever do. Oh man, when is the next time I'm gonna get laid? They probably have the 3 big dating apps on their phone and they're constantly swiping through them. If anything, they might even have some of the secondary dating apps like Coffee Meets Bagel or like eHarmony just to maximize their odds. Because they literally have this shit down to a science, It's all they ever think about. And it can be pretty funny as an outside spectator just kind of watching them go about their business. But at the same time, I wouldn't say this is a friend you want around. I mean, they have zero purpose or direction in life. They're just chasing pleasure. And because of that, I think you have to put them in toxic waste, but they can be pretty funny sometimes, I guess. So now on to the Gigachad / Stacy. So this is that friend that makes you ask yourself not, why am I friends with them, but why are they friends with me? It feels like they are just so much better than you on paper, they're successful, they are comfortable in their own skin, they're just great people, and you just wonder what you did to deserve them, They are great at giving advice, they're usually the voice of reason in the group, and you admire them, you want to be like them in a lot of ways. This is obviously a friend you don't want to lose, and I think they go straight to refreshingly clean. This is a friend we all want to be like. And so we're down to our last 2, and the second to last one is going to be the Loudmouth. So this is another friend I think that gets overhated. This is just the friend that just doesn't really know when to shut up sometimes. And yes, they can be a little bit annoying, they'll start making conversation when there doesn't need to be any conversation. They'll whisper to you every 12 seconds in the movie theater. They won't leave you alone when you actually want to be alone. But at the same time, they do this because they genuinely want to connect with you and they care about you. This is definitely not a bad friend to have around. And it doesn't hurt having someone to fill all the awkward silences when you don't know what to say. So I think for me, this friend should be FDA approved. And that brings us to our final friend type, which is the therapist. So this is just that friend that you go to whenever you need to vent about something. And they're actually there for you. They genuinely care. They listen to what you have to say. It almost feels like your parents bought this friend off and just told them to listen to all your problems and offer good advice. I mean, you just can't believe it, that there's actually someone out there that wants to listen to your problems and actually help you and support you. I mean, it's crazy, right? So yeah, this is a friend you definitely don't want to lose. And yeah, immediately they go to the top of the list, no question about it. So then that's our final tier list here, or toxic scale, whatever you want to call it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please leave a like, subscribe, drop a comment below. Let me know what friend types I missed and what you might want to see for the next video. And as always, have a great day everyone, and I'll catch you at the next video. See ya.